stop with that act. In other words, not just in other words, it was officially conveyed. There is a regular hotline between the two Directors General of Military Operations. The message was conveyed that this was the intent, that it was pointed out that no military targets, no civilian targets, and no governmental targets had been hit, not even by accident, and that the message therefore had been delivered exactly and precisely to the terrorists and their handlers. Nonetheless, Pakistan chose to respond, I'm sorry to say, with indiscriminate shelling across the border the very first day and night, which sadly killed 19 civilians and injured grievously 59 others, including Carmelite nuns in a convent, Sikhs worshipping in a Gurudwara, and others who happened to simply be in the line of fire because they lived in districts adjoining the Pakistani border. When this happened, India had no choice but to retaliate in kind. The matters got worse the next day as the Pakistanis followed up artillery shelling with a serious invasion of drones and missiles. India's air defenses were able to hold them off, but in turn India returned the compliment, and on the night of 9th, 10th May, India hit 11 Pakistani military targets, including a rather well-known airbase that's just 1.5 kilometers away from military headquarters of Pakistan in Rawalpindi. The following morning, we got a call, or our Director General of Military Operations got a call from the Pakistani Director General of Military Operations saying they'd like to stop this. And we said, we've been saying all along, we didn't want to start anything. We were just sending a message to terrorists. You started, we replied. If you stop, we'll stop. And they stopped. There was an 88-hour war. We look back on that with a great deal of frustration, because it needn't have happened at all. Lives have been lost. But at the same time, we look back on this experience with a steely and renewed sense of determination. There has now got to be a new normal. No one sitting in Pakistan is going to be allowed to believe that they can just walk across the border and kill our citizens with impunity. There will be a price to pay, and that price has been going up systematically. I'll just take you briefly through what happened. You may remember in 2015, well, you may not remember because this is our problem, not yours, but in 2015, in January, there was an attack on an Indian airbase, a place called Pathankot. And our Prime Minister had just made a goodwill visit to Pakistan the previous month. On the 25th of December, he'd attended the birthday celebrations of then Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, whose granddaughter's wedding was on the same day. He'd given gifts. So when this happened, he was so astonished that he actually called the Pakistani Prime Minister and said, why don't you join the investigation? Let's solve who's doing this. And the Pakistani, you can imagine the horror of the Indian military establishment at this idea that Pakistani investigators are going to come to an Indian airbase. But they came. And they went back to Pakistan and said, oh, the Indians did it to themselves. That was the last straw. I mean, it was just we'd already gone through the horrors of 2008 in Mumbai when 170 people had been killed, and the Pakistani denials at that time were laid bare not just by the fact that we caught one of the terrorists alive and his identity, his address, his family, etc., were identified in Pakistan, but equally because that drama took place over 3 days, during which Western intelligence agencies trained their recording devices, amongst other things, on Pakistani, the chilling voice of the Pakistani handler, giving minute-by-minute instructions to the killers in Mumbai. So the evidence was there, there'd been denial, and that denial was proven to be completely false. And as you know, thereafter, the Pakistanis claimed not to know where Osama Bin Laden was, until he was found in a safe house right next to an army cantonment, in a city dominated by the army. This is Pakistan, and I'm afraid for us, 2015 was the last opportunity for them to behave, to cooperate, to really show they were serious about ending terror as they claimed every time that they were. And since they did not do it in January, in September 2015, there was another attack in a place called Uri, also not far from the border, and this time India breached the line of control which we had rigorously observed throughout. In every previous skirmish, we had never crossed the line of control. We crossed it with a surgical strike in September of 2015. That seemed to calm things down a bit, but unfortunately in January of 2019 there was another terror attack in a place called Pulwama, killing 40 Indians at that point. And then India responded not just by breaching the line of control, but also breaching the international border and striking with our Air Force a known terror training camp in a place called Balakot. Now, we have not just crossed the LOC, we have also crossed the international border. We have hit Pakistan in their heartland. And we have done so, as I say, only to send a message about terror. We are not interested, and we still remain absolutely clear that we are not interested in warfare with Pakistan. We would much rather be left alone to grow our economy and pull our people into the world that they're getting ready for in the 21st century. We have no desire to have anything that the Pakistanis have. Sadly, we may be a status quo power, they are not. They are a revisionist power, they covet territory that India controls, and they want to have it at any price. And if they can't get it through conventional means, they're willing to get it through terrorism. That is not acceptable to us, and that's really the message that we are here to give all of us, all of you in this country and elsewhere. We are determined now that there's got to be a new bottom line to this. We have tried everything, international dossiers, complaints to sanctions committee, diplomacy, even this joint investigation attempt, everything has been tried. Pakistan has remained in denial. There has been absolutely no conviction, no serious criminal prosecution, no attempt to dismantle the terror infrastructure in that country, and the persistence of safe havens. So from our point of view, this is it. You do this, you're going to get this back. And we have demonstrated with this operation that we can do it with a degree of precision and with a degree of restraint that the world, we hope, will understand. We have a right to self-defense. We've exercised that right. We have not done so irresponsibly, and we have not done so in a way that would have warranted a wider conflagration. That's really the message I wanted to give you all today. I'm sure you have questions and comments, and my colleagues represent, as I say, 4 parties amongst the 5 of us, and there's a wide span of views. We're all happy to join in conversation with you. Thank you all very much once again for coming and being with us today. Jai Hind.